Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the Singapore Sevens. This one, it is two sides that are undefeated. South Africa versus Fiji. The winner of this game faces New Zealand. The loser of this game faces France for the semi-finals of the Singapore Sevens. Both sides looking stacked, both sides in great form. Heading into this contest, which guarantees us a pretty epic match between these two sides. But looking through at the starting lineups, there are a few changes on both sides heading into this matchup. But we will have the quick look. Ryan Oosthuizen, he is staying in the starting side. Siviwe Suarez-Wapi gets himself his first start of the Singapore Sevens competition. He will also be the captain for this contest. Xander Reinders, Donovan Don, Tristan Lades, Shilton van Wyk, and Ricardo James Duarte, the last man in the starting side. For the Fijians, they've gone interesting for this matchup, and I'm a little bit curious about the decision-making behind it. I don't know whether or not it's just purely squad rotation here, giving everyone relatively equal minutes, or whether it's because they want to finish this match stronger. So they've got a few great impact players making their way off of the bench, but in the starting lineup, it is Josefa Talatholo, Tera Wailangi, who has been making his way off of the bench in the last couple of matches. Davita the same. Tereo Vailawa keeps his spot in the starting lineup. Manueli Mai-Samoa, he has had really limited game time throughout the Sevens competition. That is the youngster who recently made his debut in Nathani Bongi Nasoko, whose name I still slightly mispronounce every once in a while, and then also Kavakini Tani Vanuakula is the other man in the starting side. Yo, bro, are you doing live coverage of the game? So we are going to be doing the live commentary for this contest, and the reason behind that is any match footage or audio gets taken straight off YouTube, but we're going to be doing the play-by-play, letting you know exactly what happens and also what that means for the next stage of the competition. Like I mentioned, the winner of this game, they will face off against New Zealand. The loser will have France. So either way, two exciting semi-finals just around the corner. Thuds Razor said, howdy, welcome in. Hope you're doing so well. I hope you're doing well, I should say. I guess so well as well. Why are you starting early? Says Mohadeen. So the reason we have started early is because of the fact that there is plenty to talk about for the Sevens, including all the semi-finals that have already been confirmed. Hamish, you look very angry. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I didn't realise I looked angry. But 9 minutes away from this matchup taking place. Like I said, both of these sides have had 2 wins from 2 in their earlier stage fixtures. They have both beaten Spain. They have both beaten Great Britain. Those are the two sides that are playing off at the moment. Currently, Spain getting off to a brilliant start in that contest up against Great Britain. But now we have to wait and see whether or not that is the way it stays at full time. 17-0 though in favour of Spain. So it is looking likely that they will be going head-to-head up against either Argentina or I believe Australia are the other side that they could end up facing in the playoff games. But looking through at the benches for these two sides, Sebastian Job is there. They've also got Guillaume, David Brits, Sekoyi, and Christy Hrobela. So pretty similar to what we've seen as the South African bench throughout the other games that they have played so far, the Blitzboks. Whereas for the Fijians, they have got 5 players who have normally been starting in their other games. And I can't mention how different this Fijian side mentions compared to what we are used to seeing. They've got Filippo Bucayaro, Ioane Timba, Jeremiah Matana, Vuiviwa Nodovalo, and George Balsi. Now, Balsi and Nodovalo have been absolutely superb throughout the first 2 games for Fiji. So it just makes me wonder once again, are Fiji looking to keep this game close at the start and then try and really run away with it at the end? Or is it going to be vice versa, how the Blitzboks, if they get that momentum at the start, they'll be very hard to stop. As, sorry, I've missed things. I had phone issues the last 5 days. Says Roof, well, it is great to have you here now. And of course, there is still plenty more coming up today. We've got the URC just around the corner taking place between the Bulls and the Lions. And then following that game, it will be the Stormers versus the Sharks. Bulla, let's go Fiji, says Ron there. And go Fiji, go, says Upper Salomi. But yeah, Fiji, they have a lot of support heading into this competition. They are the defending champions of the Singapore Sevens, but South Africa won the most recent Sevens leg. That was in Cape Town in front of the home crowd. So there's a lot on the line here, but at the same time, I do think that these two teams, whatever the result is here, they have a very good chance of meeting in the final. They've both looked, I would say, just a little bit stronger. Yes, France are undefeated at the moment, but I actually think whoever loses this game has an easier draw New Zealand are so unpredictable when it comes to playoff games of sevens. They've looked a bit shaky at times throughout some of their matches. Their most recent game up against Australia was probably one of their better performances. But I don't know whether I want to play New Zealand in playoff rugby ahead of France. Even though the French are undefeated, they still have a couple little cracks in their game that I think both of these sides would like to exploit. So, once again, you win this game, it's great. You lose this game, not the end of the world, still a big opportunity just around the corner. Now, semi-finals for the women's games have already been confirmed. I should mention Australia versus Canada, that will be semi-final number 1, and New Zealand versus USA, that is semi-final number 2. So we may once again see New Zealand versus Australia for the women's final, which we will be covering on the channel once again. We might cover one of those two semi-finals as well. How do you have so much energy for each commentary, especially late at night, says Dylan. I actually have no idea. It is currently sitting 12:41 a.m. New Zealand time. I've been up since about 6:30 a.m. this morning. I guess yesterday morning. Now with what time it is in New Zealand. But I guess it's just the enjoyment of the streaming as well as the rugby. Like, there's been some great games, which makes it very easy to stay awake at this hour. We have got there, Sanila has their live chat. And there's also, it is greatly appreciated you popping in for this one. This game is kicking off in only around 4 minutes' time. We are just seeing the closing moments of Spain versus GB. Let's go. Fiji 1 million Fijians stuck to the TV in every village in Fiji, says Ron. Yeah, late night game in Fiji as well, 12:42 a.m. This is actually roughly the time that the final would be on if we do end up seeing the Fijians make it that far, which, to be honest, I think they've got a brilliant chance whether they play New Zealand or France. They will be extremely hard to beat on day 2 of the Singapore player Sevens, who won in Spain. At the moment, 29 points to 7 is the score between Spain and GB. If you're talking about the Sevens that took place in Spain, and then of course it is a different story. It's currently 17 degrees here. And what is the meaning of your holiday? Which holiday are we talking? I assume you're talking the one next Friday, right? That's when the carver kicks in, says Ron. So it's after midnight that the carver does hit, by the sounds of it. So there's going to be a lot of people either very happy about this result coming up or very disappointed. But either way, they may not be able to tell if they have been heavily drinking on the carver. 100k YouTube plaque during the Australia World Cup 2027, hopefully. Although I think they are thinking about getting rid of YouTube 100k plaques in the relatively near future. So we might get to the stage how if we do ever hit that number, we might not get a plaque because they may have got rid of them by then, which would be quite sad. But at the same time, I guess they don't want to give out millions of them next Friday, says Mohadeen. So it is Waitangi Day, which is a holiday here in New Zealand, a public holiday. Kiwi lads, you must have Carver in one of the live streams, says Dylan there. And 24 points to South Africa, 21 to Fiji, says Berry Able. So you're saying in that case, South Africa missing 2 kicks compared to Fiji, who are perfect off the kicking tee with 3 from 3, which, to be fair, Fiji have been running around their tries so that they are straight in front of the post. So I feel like there's a little bit of logic behind that score prediction. I'll mention there's 2 minutes remaining of this Spain versus GB game. And at the moment, Spain are leading heavily in this contest. So they've got a brilliant chance of going on to the 5th place semi-final, in which they would be taking on Argentina, I believe is the way that it currently sits. What's your feeling about these sevens? I think that whoever wins this game is probably going to end up playing the loser of this game in the final. I just have that feeling like South Africa-Fiji could easily be the last match of this competition as well, which would give both sides 24 hours to work out how to beat the other because, like I said, they're playing tonight. They could be playing tomorrow at the same time in the final of the comp. France really made New Zealand mad, says, by the way, Pedza. Although they had a weird way of showing it by only just managing to beat Argentina. But they were good up against Australia, the Kiwis, which is exactly what they needed more of. But yeah, it could have been a whole different story. Had they not scored that last-minute try up against the Argentines, New Zealand would not have made it through, more than likely, to that next stage. So, you know, that one extra point, that one extra try was the big difference maker for them. And now they have to use that as their lifeline. Keep on going in the competition and know that it is playoff rugby from here on out. Fiji 21, South Africa 15. Says DJ, France make awesome, or make everyone mad because they're awesome. And go the Blitzboks, go the Blitzboks. Says Eileen. And there as well. Yeah, a lot of support for both of these sides. Now, no matter what happens, both of these teams are already through to the semi-finals. Once again, anyone just tuning in now, the winner of this game will face up against New Zealand. The loser of this game faces France. Now, it's debatable who would actually want to play who in this scenario. I think I'd love to see a New Zealand-Fiji game, but at the same time, that would also be a great one to have as the final. South Africa versus New Zealand. We've seen some great battles from those two sides going head-to-head throughout recent times. You've got France versus South Africa is a bit of an intriguing one. They're normally relatively competitive. They can all happen. And theoretically, the one that doesn't happen can still happen as the bronze final for the two sides that do lose their semi-finals. Currently, Spain are going for the last play of the day in their game up against GB. It looks like they're going to try and keep this one alive, Great Britain, even though they are down 29 points to 7. Did you watch any Super Smash? I went to the finals. Jessica 47 from 24 to win. Like Donny says, Studs Rays. I didn't get to watch it, but I did have someone give an update when they needed about 9 runs off 4 balls. That was the last kind of bit that I heard about it, but I didn't know who was scoring the runs or anything along those lines. Go Fiji, says Atun Sasea, or Antun Sissa, hopefully I've said that correctly. I feel like I may have butchered that pronunciation though, but that is going to be the last minute try from Great Britain in their game up against Spain. It still will not be enough though. Spain will still win in that contest, but for anyone just tuning in now, the starting lineups for these two sides, South Africa, they've made the one change of Saviwe Suez-Wapi, the captain, comes into the starting side alongside Ryan Oosterhuizen, Xander Reinders, Donovan Don, Tristan Leitz, Shilton van Wyk, and Ricardo James Duarte, the last man in the starting side. For the Fijians, they have made drastic changes compared to what we have seen in their past games. Josefa Talatholo keeps his spot. Same with Tario Vailawa, but everyone else is different. Tani Vanua-Kula comes into the starting side. Tera Wailangi, Davita. Also, it is Bongi Nasoko and Manueli Maisa-Moa. When is the match for Fiji and South Africa in Fijian time? Says Arita. It is kicking off in about 1 minute time. They were just waiting for that Spain versus Great Britain game to end, and then they're making their way out onto the field ready to play. Both sides, 2 wins from 2, looking to make it 3 in a row. Northern District Spank Canterbury and the men's Super Smash. Says Studs Race up, Hamish. You know this game with Fiji is very personal, right? Just for what they did to us back in 1857, says Martin. Well, I don't think any of these players had anything to do with that. We have got their Seattle, says Cape Tonian, and there as well. And Fiji are so powerful and they have great physique, says Ruth. And Bulavanaka says Akta. And there as well, when is the URC? In 2 to 3 hours. The first URC game is kicking off in only 40 minutes' time. And we will be starting that live stream relatively early. It's actually starting up in about 30 minutes' time, or a bit less than that. But both of these sides making their way out onto the field. Did Britain lose all their games? They did. Yep, 3 losses throughout the competition for them. And Bulavanaka says Akta in there too. But they have just talked about that change, bringing Saviwe Suez-Wapi into the starting lineup with some pure physicality on offer, as well as that pace, the veteran. I want to grab some pineapple pizza, says Katsanel, and let's go Fiji, says Ron there too. But anyone who hasn't already, be sure to let me know your score predictions for this contest. It looks like it's Nick Hogan, the New Zealand referee, in charge of this 149 matches for that man with the whistle in hand. It's going to be a good one. Physicality, the forefront, pace for days between these two sides. Some brilliant work in the breakdown to be expected as well. But Fiji will be kicking off this one from right to left. We are now underway in this contest, ladies and gentlemen. The last of the group stage in the Singapore Sevens. It absolutely flies by with just the 8 teams. But a short kick-off from Tario Vailawa is claimed by Ricardo James Duarte. Had some good moments throughout the Sevens competition. Also gave away a couple penalties in the last contest. And speaking of penalties, Ryan Oosterhuizen hits that ball up. Bit of a counter ruck there from Fiji. And they managed to rip that ball away. Manueli Maisa-Moa. Some nice work from him. But Fiji getting the first attacking chance of this game round the halfway line. Bit of a rough one there. Josefa Talatholo disappointed as that one was dropped. Although he didn't get a fingertip to it. It just wasn't quite the best pass. It does go into touch, and it will be the line-out throw now for the South Africans. No, not pineapple, guys, says Dylan. And the box 31 points to 19. The score prediction from Pads are there, and this can be a very dangerous bit of play from the South Africans. They have scored off their opposition line-out throughout this competition. So you think with their own line-out throw can be even more dangerous. Lions 40 to the Bulls 15, says Mohadin for the prediction. And whoever New Zealand plays won't be easy. Yeah, I think that both of the semi-finals are going to be very tough. Oh, there's a penalty going the way of South Africa. That is for offside against the Fijians. And the Blitzboks, they are very much a momentum team. If they start getting a few decisions going their way, they will make the most of it. They will start to break down this Fijian side, and they are also a momentum team. If they have possession and they have opportunities to score, oftentimes they will. But if they can't get their hands on the ball and give away a couple penalties, they can be non-existent for a half of rugby. So that is where it's such a chess match for these two teams. Great UK pub lunch. Come on with fried, or gammon, sorry, with fried pineapple ring, says DJ. Now Ricardo James Duarte feeding the ball in. And that's an offside penalty going against Taria Vailau. A lot of halfbacks do get that timing wrong when it comes to joining the breakdown. He's going to be held up at a rolling ball, so they will go back where it was originally given as the penalty. It looks like South Africa once again are happy enough going with a slower tempo for this first half. And again, they are calling for the scrum. Like they're saying, the Blitzboks trying to keep complete control of this contest, playing it at their pace rather than that electric kind of speed play that the Fijians have tried to lure a lot of sides into playing. South Africa, they want to manage that gas tank. It's humid in the stadium in Singapore. You want to keep your energy for the game. It's taking place tomorrow. Now, Tristan Laird running off the back, ball on the inside to Donovan Don. Thought about the wide cutout pass, but instead goes to the short option instead of Ricardo James Duarte. Now, that is in terms of the pass length, not the height. Saviwe Suez Wapi goes across now to Tristan Laird. Burns to Rio Vailaura on the outside, and that will be the first try of the contest. It is South Africa that score it, and it's Tristan Laird who gets himself in for the try. It is just pace personified there for South Africa down the wide channel, making it a nice, easy kick as well. We talked about that all throughout this tournament, how you want to make sure you get in the best possible chance of a kick going over hot chips with plenty of misses balls, says DJ, and go Fiji go, says Raiwasa. But the early try scored by Tristan Laird. It's not too often that you do see Tario Vailaua beaten for pace on the outside. He just committed to his tackle a little bit too early. Not making the mistake, but now South Africa do lead in this game, 7 points to 0, and the way that it sits, it would be the Blitzboks versus New Zealand, Fiji versus France. I've mentioned about it, how these two sides, you don't actually know who they would prefer to play. I do think New Zealand is the harder game out of the two, but that's going to be whoever wins this game gets rewarded with the Kiwis. Now, sitting 40 metres out from the line, it's a penalty going the way of New Zealand. Offside from Ricardo James Duarte. Back across to the left-hand side, Tario Vailaua tries to step, gets the offload to Manueli Maisamoa. Two-man tackle on him by Oosthuizen and Reinders, two of the big forwards for the Blitzboks side. Now passed on the outside. That's a drop ball from Fiji. And a mistake there, just not quite getting the pass right. Once again, a lot of changes across this Fijian starting seven compared to what we saw in their first two games. You mean Fiji? Says Mohadin, probably. I don't remember what I said. We have got there any time, and I'm going for a Biltong pizza. Go to Blitzboks go. Says Delpham. And the bot broke the line now. Says Ruth. 2 errors so far from the Fijians. The early stages of the match. 3 offloads so far from Fiji. They are still trying to keep the ball alive. You said New Zealand, says Mohadin. I was saying New Zealand are who South Africa will play in the semi if they win this game. And also that whoever wins this game gets rewarded with New Zealand. Now cross kick. Should be a try. Yes, it is. Donovan Don claims it out wide and scores the try. Bit of a different tactic there from Don. Slid underneath the Fijian defence, and it is try number 2. Fiji fumbling a bit. Says Roof there. But Donovan Don scores the cross-field try. It is classy from the Blitzboks, and again showing what they can do out there on the field. Goes to Donovan Don. Then he actually does the coffin technique. Lies down. You said New Zealand penalty? Well, my bad. I probably meant Fiji, didn't I? Fiji coach on the game says skills. You said France, says, by the way, Pedza. in there as well. Of course, France are going to be involved in those semi-finals too. Now, another kick here. And Ricardo James Duarte gets it through the middle. It's going to make the score now 14-0. So those extra few metres that Donovan Don was able to run in from the sideline made all the difference there. That one's kicked too far from South Africa. He was trying to claim that it wasn't out on the full Ryan Oosterhuizen. He did get the fingertip to it, but it was still out. He said South Africa says, by the way, Bedzer, and also 28 points to 20 revised. Says Ruth adds her new score prediction. He is a good kicker. Says Mohadeen, so you'll be loving him more than you're loving Pollard at the moment, seeing as you've been ripping into him for the past month or so. And now they have been told to hurry up here, Fiji. Tario Vailawa takes the quick tap round the halfway line. Now going off to the right-hand side, Tani Vanuakula going in a backwards direction here for Fiji. I'm wondering what their bench is going to be able to do if there is a lot of damage already done in this game. They cannot afford to concede another try. They are still 22 metres out from their own line, out to the big man, Josefa Talatholo. Gets around Zandarang. There's another pass here for Terawai Langi towards the sideline there. At that time it was Tani Vanuakula. Will Donovan Don get to play for South Africa 15s? I'm not actually sure if he's going in the 7s to 15s direction. I know that he plays in the Curry Cup, but I think he'll be pretty happy with the Blitzboks, the way that they are playing at the moment. Maybe one day he gets that chance if he continues playing well in the Carling Curry Cup. Now passed on the outside for Fiji, 40 metres out from the line, stepping back on the inside, got round two. That was a pretty poor tackle attempt from Shilton van Wyk, hardly even put an arm out. And now Fiji still trying to get it moving. If they score now, that completely changes this game. Shuffling, Terawai Langi offloads to Tario Vailawa. And it will be the try for Fiji. Again, a nice easy one that they should be able to slot over for the additional 2. But this game still has plenty left in it for the second half of play. And again, I don't know whether winning this game is good or not in terms of who they have to play in the next stage. Kick will be kicking, Sid Vicious. I love Pollard LaRue, beautiful. Says Roof, I did see that Pollard's playing this week for the Bulls, but they aren't playing Billy LaRue. Instead, Devin Williams in that number 15 jersey. Fiji heading back. Back in 1857, we had 3 chickens and 2 rice patches on those islands. When we came back to 58, to water the crops we saw go over. So we settled for Bloemfontein. That's why this is personal. It sounds like you're holding a bit of a grudge from something that has nothing to do with either of these teams. But it is half-time now in this contest, 14 points to 7. You could have just said, like, Fiji beat you in the last year of sevens. So, like, that kind of hurts a little bit more, I would think. But now, only the 7 minutes remaining, and anything can happen. Donovan Don and Tristan Lades, the 2 speedsters for the South African side, the ones who have scored. Taria Vailawa, a man who, when he makes his way off the bench, can have a real impact, but when he's starting, it's a whole different story. He's just in it from the very first moment of the game. This is for a spot in the semi-final. The winner does get New Zealand. The loser gets France. Either way, it's not an easy semi for either of these 2 teams. But either way, it's going to be great watching them play in the semi-finals. That's one good thing. Do you know how dry and hot Bloemfontein is? Says Martin Meyer. Once again, these 2 sides, they didn't do it, did they? Shilton van Wyk wasn't the man who was involved, or Tario Vailawa, but they're both going to be involved in the second half. They're both going to be able to make a real impact. Manueli Maisamo, I wouldn't be surprised if they start taking a few of those guys from the starting lineup off the field in the near future. Once again, for Fiji off their bench, they've got Filippo Bukayaro, they've got Ioani Timber, they've got Jeremiah Matana, they've got Vuiviwa Nadovalo and George Balsi. Now, Vuiviwa Nadovalo, he scored a hat-trick in the very first game of this competition when he did play up against the Great British side, I want to say it was, or it might have been Spain. It was one of those 2 anyway. Might have been Spain. No, I'm going Great Britain as the final answer. But it might have been Spain. Is it sizzling? They were there. They took the 3 chickens, says Martin. And when do the teams play again? So these sides will be both in action for the semi-finals tomorrow. The first of which is taking place for the semi-finals. It will be South African time, 8:52 a.m. So early tomorrow morning. Sports people love winning. They also like playing the toughest opponent, says DJ. They'll kick attempted in behind from Fiji. Bit of an interesting tactic, seeing as they were only just out from their own line. Fiji getting onto the ball, trying to get the turnover, can't quite do so. So they've given up field position here. Or position, I should say. Was that a late takeout on the ball? I think they're going to say play on. Talatholo taking it nicely. Now attacking chance for Fiji. Talatholo leading. Trying to break through. The captain for Fiji showing pace. Offloads to Tario Vailawa. It will be try number 2 for the Fijians within a minute of the second half starting. And Tario Vailawa, he's got himself the double. So he's trying to do the Vui Viwa Nadovalo from the first match of this competition. 14-14 now between these two sides. Sad thing for rugby, the pay isn't enough, says Splash TV. Nadovalo starting from the bench. Fiji having energy for the semis. Yeah, it does seem that way with the fact that they've got Ioane Temba, Jeremiah Matana, Vuiviwa Nadovalo, George Balsi, Filippo Bocchiaro as that bench. It's just not something you do up against a top opposition unless you're saving guys for that little bit later on, making sure that they're avoiding injuries for the big matches tomorrow. And at the end of the day, both of these sides are through. They won't care if they face France or New Zealand. Either way, you're in it for the semi-final and it's going to be tough. So you might as well have people as fresh and as injury-free as they can physically be. Fiji, that one hasn't gone the 10 metres. So it's a mistake again off the kickoff. It's not the first time in this match that we've seen that. We saw South Africa do it in the first 7 minutes. And come on, South Africa, says Cape Tonian. And Carver's kicking in, says Ron. And Vanaka there too. Now 5 minutes remaining on the clock here. Ricardo James Duarte will be the man taking the quick tap to get us back underway. Now skip pass on the outside. Goes to Christy Robala. And he goes round. Shows a bit of pace. The big man, and scores the try in the wide channel. That now gives South Africa the lead back in this match. Sitting 19 points to 14 now on the scoreboard. And just getting around the tackle attempt of Josefa Talatholo. Wasn't quite able to catch Krobala as he's just made his way onto the field, so fresh as he can be. What do you know? Or what do you know? How did this happen? No idea. You've got 14 there, so I assume you're saying how was it 14-14? Fiji scored twice, South Africa scored twice first, and then now South Africa lead 19 points to 14. Just the 4 minutes remaining. That kick has missed away to the side, so they stay separated by the 5 points here, these two teams. So Manueli Maisa Mo is going to make his way off the field. Blitzboks Sevens salary isn't even 2K. Says Splash TV. And also 140. South Africa 140. 140 in what? In cricket or in what's to go? Oh, actually, there's been a big collision here in the air. And it looks like it's a yellow card for South Africa. That is David Brits. English Etzebeth confused. English Elizabeth's confused. I'm very confused, Kyle. Now, 4 minutes remaining. 50% of the remainder of this game. South Africa will be playing with only the 6 men on the field. Not even 2K, no bud. Stop sniffing rice, says Martin. And Martin, are you a kid, drunk, or trying your hand at humour? Says Richard. And Simbin says Ron in there too. Yeah, David Brits. Again, only just made his way onto the field as one of the replacements to then get sent himself straight back off. Now Ioane Temba trying to get this one going for the Fijians. Little flick pass out the back door. Goes to Vuiviwa Nadovalo. Big shot on him. Good clean out in the breakdown too for Fiji to keep the ball on his side. Now moving away to left. George Balsi can pass it. It will be Matana, another offload. Balsi has another option on the outside. Fiji will score it. And that is another try in this game. It is going end to end at the moment between these two great sides. We sit 19 points to 19 with only about 2 minutes left on the clock. Now, I will mention, if this game is a draw, it will then go to golden point, which would be great news. A 1914 gold box, says Kyle. And Vanaka says we're on there, and also just a humorous drunk little boy, says Martin there. And also Not in Rand, says Splash TV, but that one struck well, but not struck well enough to go over. And 2K per venue, per game, per season, says DJ there. Now David Britzi will still be off the field for that little bit longer. Fiji going up. Oh, that's an ugly landing there. It's going to be called as a knock-on against Fiji, but I think he got dragged down in the ear there, the Fijian player. I wonder whether or not the TMO is going to have just a quick look at this one. Right, we're going to see the replay. Does he get the hand to it? He has it slapped out of his hands, then slammed down on his backside from Donovan Don. Right, the TMO is actually going to check this. A no per month. Says Splash TV. So by that logic, that means that they've got 6 months where they get paid 2K for not playing. Because, of course, there's only 6 leagues this year of the 7 circuit. A couple of those leagues double up in the same month. So you're getting quite a nice passive income for those months that you're not playing, by the sounds of it. All right, 15 makes contact, so that's going to be Donovan Don. He will be penalised here. 2 green 15 will be going to the bin here, ladies and gentlemen. They're just making sure that it's Donovan Don who will be yellow carded, and he is now off the field. This is a big opportunity. Blitzboks don't make mistakes now, says Aline, and unfortunately, just as David Britz is about to return, they get Donovan Don sent off the field. So, it's a bit of a frustrating one at the moment for the Blitzboks. Now they have to try and work away with 1 less man on the field, maybe even still 2. I see that David Britz timer still has 2 seconds remaining. Ball's going to be fed in, a golden opportunity for the Fijians. Now get this one moving. Again, I don't know whether or not it's easier to play France or it's easier to play New Zealand in the semi-finals, but we're about to find out who will be playing who with just 100 seconds remaining. Brilliant work in the breakdown there from Sebastian Job, and he's managed to win the penalty for South Africa with 5 men on the field. They are digging deep. Brits makes his way back on. When does the Six Nations start? The Six Nations start, it is starting next week. So it will be a Thursday night start for you guys in South Africa, or a Friday morning for us here in New Zealand. All that travel I'm missing, or mixing with elite sports people. I would have taken 2K, says DJ. Yeah, they seem to make sevens into such an atmosphere for the players. They make friends for life. Many thanks for the day. Says Akhtar, no worries at all. And we are going to be back tomorrow for the semi-finals involving both of these sides. They are both through. And will be very intriguing. See who makes the final. Christy Rubala takes it nicely, going back across now to Sakoi. All drop ball from South Africa. Mistake made, although referee is undecided. He gives the penalty to South Africa, playing the ball on the ground against Fiji. 40 seconds now remaining in this fixture. Now Sakoi, he will kick this one towards the sideline. Donovan Don, I will mention, has 30 seconds remaining of his yellow card. Now, if this time does expire, he is able to make his way back out onto the field, and he can take part in golden point time if we get there. But still 15 seconds remaining. It is 19 each in this matchup. Once again, both of these sides, they will be more than competitive in their semi-finals. But who's going to take the victory here? Need to throw it in, taking a long time. That one's not straight. And it's going to be taken by Fiji. Mistake from the box. Passed on the outside. Handled by Voiviwa. Nadovalo cuts back in the inside. Ioane Timber. He's dropped the ball. And that means we're going to golden point time, ladies and gentlemen. Will you do commentary on Bulls and Stormers games? We certainly will. So the Lions versus Bulls game, we are starting in around 5 minutes time for that commentary. We've got a 15-minute build-up for that game. But 19-19, we are going to Golden Point here, ladies and gentlemen. For the first time, I believe, on the men's side of the draw, we're going to Golden Point. As the quarterfinals, it is group stage, but they have to determine who is finishing above the other. Yeah, they were just saying, I thought for a second they were saying that the day is over. Let's say one player gets an ACL injury, their salary won't be good enough to cover. Says Splash TV. Well, I think that player injuries, they don't pay for them themselves. So I think that comes down to the teams. So what are you saying? No one should play Sevens Splash TV because they can't make enough money from it? Is that what you're saying? We just shouldn't have a competition? We have got there. Thanks so much for the broadcast. Right, they've done the coin toss to work out who is going to be going which direction, and also who is receiving kickoff. Now, that can be quite substantial in a game of sevens and thoroughly important. Weird for ball play. It is, but it isn't. Like, they've changed the rules so that they do have no draws, or at least if this game has the golden point and no one scores, then it can be a draw, but they're trying their best so that sides don't end up having a draw and then having to go down to points differential. They kind of want clear, conclusive winners, if that makes sense. South Africa win. Do they go on? They both go on. No matter what happens here, both of these teams are through. Tosso Viti Tosso. Says Upper Salome there. No score. What happens is Mohadin. Then it would finish as the draw that they would be dreading. And in that case, if we go to a draw, I believe if I'm correct, that would put South Africa through as first in this group. I will just get confirmation of that in terms of the polls. South Africa have a points differential of plus 28. Fiji have a points differential of plus 24. That's why I'm saying the salary needs to be increased, says Splash TV. But Sevens have been losing money for the past about 5 years, which is why they keep on changing the format. But at the same time, like, if the players don't like the salary they're getting paid, they don't have to play sevens. They can play rugby union. It's one of those ones that I feel like a lot of these guys would pay for nothing if it meant that they still got to represent their country and get the opportunity on the seventh circuit. But now backline moving here for South Africa. Donovan Don running down the sideway. He's back from that yellow card. And come on, score the Blitzboks, says Mohadin. And also we have got there just at Sparta, ice cream and crisps. Now Christy Rubela going across there on the outside. Once again, I don't know who wants to win this game more. Of course, you want to go into that next stage of the competition undefeated. But do you want to play New Zealand or do you want to play France? Cross kick attempted there from South Africa. Bounces a little bit too far. And now 4 minutes remaining of the first extra time period. Are you starting late? The Bulls game, says Mohadin. Potentially, if this game doesn't end beforehand. People are looking at Hamish and listening to his commentary in queue. Says Ruth. And come on, score the Blitzboks, says Mohadin there. Now 4 minutes. It's a long time in a game of sevens. If no one scores during this period, I believe we would have a second half of extra time. And for two sides that probably were hoping to just have a bit of a light game here and not use up a whole heap of their fatigue or use up a whole heap of their energy, this is probably doing the complete opposite at the moment for them. Now continuing on, another step from Ioane Timber. Filippo Bukayaro on across. Are you doing both South African games? We certainly are. And the first one, Lions versus Bulls, is starting up in the very near future. Filippo Bukayaro going off to the right-hand side. Ioane Timber thought about the inside pass, does get it away. Fiji breakthrough. This is going to be the try. Fiji will win this game, which will book them a spot up against New Zealand in the semi-finals. South Africa, they will be playing France. So two great games just around the corner, but a brilliant finish to the match for Fiji. I believe, anyway, yes, they are just making sure that it was all good, which it was, and the try is scored by the youngster, Nathani Bongina Soko. He's been scoring tries for fun throughout this competition and does it again here for the Fijians. They will go through, like I mentioned. Both these sides will. Nicely done, Fiji. See, it's Big Rig. And there as well, but nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, we will pop over to the next live stream now, which has taken place, and that is between the Lions and the Bulls. Now, we've got about a 15-minute build-up for that contest, which does mean we'll have time to talk through the sevens just a little bit more too. But if you didn't enjoy, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you all in about a minute's time for the next one.